So come to just any comfortable position, laying down. You could have your feet on the mat, or you could extend them out like a Shavasana. And take a moment to pull the shoulder blades down so that your neck feels nice and long and free. And then see if you can unclench the jaw, let there be a little gap between the teeth, and let the tongue fall back a little bit in the mouth so you can remove it from the roof of the mouth. And from here, start to regulate your breath. So you might start by taking a big inhale through your nose, really filling up nice and slowly, and then holding at the top, and then letting that go through the mouth. You can do that a couple of times, a big inhale and then a sigh out. And then start to breathe in and out through your nostrils, still taking deep breaths. And then as you take these deep breaths, just start to wiggle your big toes together so that they're touching, and then let the knees fall out to the side and come into your reclining butterfly. And we'll stay here for 5 deep breaths, still in and out through your nostrils. And with each exhale, try to feel yourself relax and surrender into the sensation. And then using your hands around your knees, start to pull your knees in towards your chest. And then just stay here a moment, giving yourself a bit of a squeeze in. And then if it feels good, you can start to rock from side to side. And then hold on to your knees, start to make big circles. You could keep the knees together, or you could even separate them out, just opening through your hips. Creating some space in the lower back, and then switching directions. These could be together or moving apart. And then taking your knees into your chest, let yourself drop the knees over towards the right, coming into a spinal twist. And if it feels all right for your neck, you can look over towards the left. And you can extend the arms out wide. I don't have space for this arm. If you are limited on space, you can cactus the arms. That's an even deeper stretch for the shoulders. And then we'll inhale, come back into center. And then let your knees drop over towards your left-hand side now. Again, you can look towards the right. You might cactus the arm, you might just extend it out long. And then we'll pull the knees back into the center. And this time we'll open the knees out wide. flex the feet and grab onto the ankles, and then start to pull your feet so that they're pointing up towards the sky for happy baby. It might feel quite easy and accessible for you to be here holding onto the ankles. So if you'd like to take it further, you can hook the peace fingers around the big toe. Make sure feet are nice and flexed. And make sure your hips aren't starting to curl up off the ground. You want to be actively pressing the lower back down into the mat, creating length through the spine and getting into the hips even more. So the back bend that we're going to focus on today at the last section of the class is going to be our camel pose. It can be quite a deep back bend, or you can customize it so that it's not so intense, but it will be a really nice opening through the front of the body. So we're going to spend some time kind of opening up through the hips, stretching and strengthening the core, and also warming up the backs of the legs to support that. Okay, we are going to keep a hold of the big toes if you can, and see if you can start to use a bit of momentum and rock up and down until eventually you come into a kind of floating happy baby. Okay, so your feet are off the mat, you want to pull on your feet to keep the balance. And then see if you can keep the feet where they are as you release the hands and zip the knees into the center, coming into Navasana. And then from here, simply cross the ankles and sit down. So once you're seated, hands onto the knees, and just start to take some circles through the upper body, warming up into the back, the hips. Maybe dipping further and further on each circle forwards, maybe leaning backwards, maybe getting your shoulders involved. Doing what feels good in your body. And then you might switch directions. You might take small circles and then big ones. And then coming back into center, and from here open your legs out wide, coming into kind of Upavishta Konasana shape, so this kind of right angle shape. From here, right hand traces down the leg, left arm reaches up and over. Start to look up, maybe just reaching up towards the sky, feeling that stretch all the way from the left toes, up the left thigh, up the left side of the body. And then bend your elbow and point your right fingers towards your right leg. And then we're just going to switch sides. So left hand rests on left leg, right arm reaches up. You take a moment looking up. As you reach up, imagine you can press your right hip down further into the mat. And then you might bend the elbow and reach a little bit further. You don't need to move the upper body. And let's just do that on both sides. Once again. Good, and we're going to come back, pulling the legs together and then crossing the ankles, rolling over to our tabletop so that we can take some cat-cow. So spreading the fingers wide, pressing the shins down, and then inhale, lifting up through the chest, lifting the tailbone, looking up, shoulders pulling back, and then exhale, rounding through the spine. Take a few more rounds. You can be creative with the movement, or you can just keep it fairly traditional. Make sure you're linking movement with breath. And then coming back to a neutral spine. So a little bit of a tuck through the pelvis, not too much, but just a nice long spine. And then maybe pulling your knees a little bit closer into the center, belly draws in. We're going to extend the right leg away from us, pointing the right toes outwards. Make sure your foot doesn't start to point out to the side, but it's pointing directly to the back of the room. And then the left arm is going to extend, and you might just stay here, creating a long line, or we're going to tap our elbow to our knee 3 times. So take an inhale, grow taller, longer. And exhale, squeeze it in. Inhale. Exhale, finding stability through the rest of the body. Inhale. And exhale. This time, inhale, reaching out. Left hand comes down. We start to tilt the hips open as we place the right foot down with the right toes pointing towards the long edge of the mat. And from here, we can inhale, start to sweep our right hand all the way up for our gateway pose. Lift your hips higher, squeeze the bum. Try to get rid of any back bend here so you're not sticking your bum out. You've got a little tilt through the pelvis. And then inhale, sweep the arm up and over. And if you'd like to challenge the balance, lift up through the right leg. For those of you who want to take it even further, exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Inhale. Final time, exhale. And then inhale, coming back to tabletop. Take one round of cat-cow just to come back to the breath. And then inhale, extending the left leg away from you. Really point the toe. And then the right arm. Inhale, grows longer. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And then final time, exhale. Inhale, reaching out this time, right hand comes down, we tilt open. We come into that shape, kind of like a side plank. We reach up, we stay here just consolidating. And then you might start to reach up and over, feeling that lovely stretch through the left side, lifting the left leg. And then exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, reaching out. Coming back down. Good. And from here, just sit back onto the heels. Widen the knees. Coming into a child's pose. Take a big breath in. On your exhale, tuck the toes. And come into downward facing dog. And you can just start to pedal out through your legs and warm up into your downward facing dog. You might give your head a good shake and a good nod. You might still be pedaling through the legs. And then inhaling, walking to the top of the mat. Feet as wide as the mat, toes pointing out, and start to sit down into your Yogi squat Melasana, sitting in between the knees. Try to make sure you're not rounding the spine here and letting the knees drop in. Use the elbows, press the knees away, and then palms come to heart center. You might even find it more comfortable to close your eyes here. And then from here, release your hands and slowly lift your hips. As you do so, turn your toes forwards. Keep the knees soft and coming into a forward fold. Letting the arms dangle, maybe grabbing opposite elbows or just letting them hang. Ragdoll. Head is completely heavy here, neck is completely relaxed and soft. And then inhale, slowly starting to roll up to standing. Good, so once we get to standing, you want to step your feet about as wide as your hips. Try to take a little tuck through the pelvis, keep the belly drawn in, and then bring the palms into heart center. Shoulders back and down. Close your eyes. Maybe a big sigh, maybe just reconnecting with your breath. And then bring the hands by the sides. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. And exhale, fold over your legs, coming into Uttanasana. We're taking our sun cells. Inhale, looking up halfway, press the shins away. And then exhale, hands down, step back into plank. Let's hold plank for 3 breaths. 1, legs are switched on, shoulders puffed up. 2, and then on 3, we all drop our knees, we look forward, and we lower into half chaturanga. Inhaling into baby cobra, shoulders back, elbows point back. And then exhale back into downward facing, taking 3 deep breaths. Oops. 1, 2, your knees might be slightly bent, as long as you can press your chest towards your thighs. 2, on 3, bend the knees, look forwards, take a big step or a few little steps, coming right to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, looking up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. And then exhale, we're going to take 1 more, folding straight back down. Inhale, looking up halfway, maybe fingertips down. Exhale, step back plank. Maybe another half chaturanga, maybe a full chaturanga, hovering halfway. And then inhaling into upward facing. Lifting the knees off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog, taking 5 breaths this time. 1, 2, spread the shoulder blades apart, down the outer edges of the back. 3, spread the fingers, let the head be heavy. 4, on 5, bend the knees, look forwards, a big step or even a little hop to the top depending on how you're feeling, looking up halfway, halfway lift. And exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. And then exhale, hands down into heart center. Take a moment here and just close your eyes. Again, finding your breath. So it's easy to lose track of the inhales and exhales when we start to move into kind of more dynamic movements. Just find your way back to the breath whenever you can remember to. And then the hands are going to come by the sides. And then inhale, bend the knees and come into chair pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, looking up halfway. Exhale, maybe hands down, a light hop back. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up high. Exhale, look forwards as you step the right foot through. Back heel down. And coming into warrior 1. So nice long step, reaching up, pressing into your front knee. And then exhale, coming back down. Maybe straight to down dog, or maybe exhaling down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg sweeps up. Exhale, step it through. Warrior 1, turning the hips towards the front, turning the chest towards the front, straightening the back leg, and then coming back down. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, down dog, let's hold here. Remember, you're welcome to take child's pose whenever you need to. 2, 3, 4, 5, look forwards, bend the knees, step or take a little hop to the top, looking up halfway. And then exhale, folding. Inhale, bend the knees, coming into your chair. And let's just sit down into chair, holding here for 3. Sit lower, challenge your legs. 2, lift the arms. And 1, straighten the legs, come back to standing. Again, palms coming into heart center. Close your eyes. Come back to the breath. Inhale, sweeping the arms all the way up high. And exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale, looking up. And then exhale, hands down and just stepping back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath in, down dog. And then inhale, lift your right leg up, 3-legged dog. Exhaling, bringing your knee towards your nose, shifting your shoulders over your wrists. Inhale, reach the right leg up high. Exhale, tap your knee to your right elbow, as high up as it can go. Inhale, lift it up. And then exhale, over towards the left. Inhale, reach it up. And then exhale, right foot steps in between the hands. Drop the left knee down, untuck the back toes. We're coming into low lunge. So really ground down through that front heel. Press the top of the back foot down into the mat. And energetically squeeze the legs into the center as you start to lift, stacking your head over your hips. This may be too much for the front hip, in which case you can always bring it back a little bit. If you're wanting to move further into the flexibility, sink into the hip and then lift the belly away. You might even inhale, reach the arms up and look up. So nice deep bend through the front leg. Taking 3, 2, 1. Good. From here, tuck the back toes and lift the back knee up high, coming into your high lunge. If you're feeling this, any kind of jarring or squeezing in the lower back, bend the back knee, tilt the pelvis under, deep bend into the front knee. You can keep that back knee bent or even re-straighten it. For 3, working the legs, warming up the backs of the legs, as I said right at the beginning of class. 2, and then on 1, we're going to lift our left knee into our chest. So we hold here, then we start to bring the right hand around the left knee, and then the left hand is going to travel behind. Maybe we're even going to look back behind us. For some of us, we're going to stay here. For others, we're going to grab, around the outer edge of the foot and extend the leg. For 3, 2, on 1, return to that bent knee shape. Look forwards, keep the knee lifted, and then step it all the way back, hands coming down to the mat, and you can take your vinyasa. Eventually meeting back in down dog. A big inhale and exhale. And then inhale, the left leg sweeps up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lift the left leg up high. Exhale, tap it to the left. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, tap it to the right, as high up as it can go. Inhale, lift it up. And then exhale, step it through. Right knee comes down. Take a moment, set up your lunge. So back foot pressing down. Try not to grip through the toes of the front foot too much. Squeeze the legs into the center and then lift. You should be feeling this stretch through the front of the right leg. A little tuck through the pelvis. And maybe sweeping the arms up, keeping the hands pointing in towards the center. Arms parallel. For 3, 2, and then 1 takes us up into high lunge. Remember, you can bend the back knee for 3, 2, on 1, right knee comes into the chest, left hand around the front of the right knee, right hand behind, looking back. You might stay here, or you might hold around the top of the foot and start to extend. Press the foot into the hand, reach through the back hand for 3, 2, 1, rebend the knee, and carefully step it all the way back. Through into down dog, good job. Once you get to down dog, big inhale, big sigh, look forwards, and then step or hop, sit down, and straight away coming into your boat pose. Now we're going to take 3 rounds. So this first round you might hold around the back of the knees, or you might want to extend the arms. Holding here, knees pressing together for 3, 2, 1, and then cross the ankles and just take a short break. So for the next round, we might keep the arms around the back of the knees, or we might extend the arms, just up to, you know, whatever your energy levels are today. So set yourself up. 5, knees close. 4, 3, 2, 1. And this time, as you cross the ankles, keep the knees up so you make yourself into a little ball. And we're going to take a lift. So keeping the feet on the mat, but imagining that they're growing really, really light, so there's no pressure in the feet. Hands come about midway between your hips and your feet, so you're leaning forwards a little bit. Knees pull up, and then inhale, bum goes back, we lift up. We come back down. Final round. 5. For some of you may even want to straighten the legs. 3, 2, and 1. One more lift. Inhale. Exhale, come down. Releasing the feet. Bring the feet about as wide as your hips, just a little distance ahead of you. Arms raised, inhale. And then exhale, nice and slowly curl all the way down to your back. Good. And from here, pull the knees in. Okay, so from here, we're going to take a few rounds of bicycle just to warm up the core even more. So what you want to do is you want to bring your knees about as the same level as your hips, and then lift the shins parallel with the earth. Hands come to the temples. We inhale, lift the shoulders off the mat, and then we're going to pull the right knee to left elbow, and then come back. Switching sides. Good. 4 more rounds. Nice and slowly. Hovering the foot. 3 more. Not got too much space here. That's probably just an excuse. 2 more. Final round. Good, and then release. Give your knees a squeeze, rock side to side. From here, release the feet down. So imagine you're coming into your bridge, which we are going to do. But first of all, we've got kind of our traditional bridge shape, which is heels underneath the knees. We're going to step our feet even further out, almost as far as they can go, while still being flat on the mat. We're going to imagine we're holding something between our knees, and we're going to take a slightly modified bridge to really work the hamstrings. So inhale, tuck the pelvis, lift the hips. Exhale, lower. Inhale, maybe walk the feet away if you feel like you can. Lift up. Exhale, lower. Now you might want to get the arms involved. Inhale, lifting the arms up. Taking them up overhead. Exhale, bringing them down. Inhale. Exhale. Hopefully you can feel that in the backs of the legs. We've got one more round. Inhale, lifting up. And we're going to hold here, squeezing the bum. 5. Knees parallel. 4. 3. 2. And 1 coming down. Good. Again, pull the knees in. This time, you're just going to rock and roll straight up and jump back. Working your way through your vinyasa into down dog. Take a breath in down dog, big inhale, big sigh. And then simply maybe hopping or maybe just coming down to kneeling, coming down to your shins. So it's time to take our back bend of the day, which is our camel pose. We are going to take 3 rounds, and with each round, we're going to slightly increase the intensity of the back bend. So you can kind of pause wherever you feel suitable for you. So we come up onto kneeling, and if you have sensitive knees, you may want to double up on the mat, which I'm going to do, or fold up a blanket underneath your knees. Now make sure the knees are underneath the hips. They're not kind of splaying out wide. That's going to put pressure on your lower back. The more the knees splay out, the harder it is to engage the legs. So try to keep the knees parallel and just underneath your hips. From here, let's keep the toes untucked so that we can press the tops of the feet down into the mat. And then, yeah, imagine you're squeezing something between the thighs. So you feel your legs really working here. That's going to be your nice, strong, stable foundation. Bring your hands behind your back with the fingers pointing up. So you're just kind of holding the lower back. Shoulders come back, stand up nice and tall. And then from here, inhale. Imagine you're stretching your belly as you slightly gently push the hips forwards. And you're still squeezing that invisible block between the thighs. And you can use the hands to push the skin of the hips down. And this is our camel variation. So you can feel the openness through the front of the body. For 3, keep the chin tucked. 2, and then on 1, release. And just come back to kneeling. So you might stay with that option, or you might come onto our second option, which is going to involve grabbing the heels. To make the heels more accessible to us, we're going to tuck the toes under so there's not as far to reach. Now, if you go for the heels and you can't reach them, just bring the hands back onto the back. Okay, so same thing with the legs, squeezing the legs, up engaged. We come into it the same way, shoulders back, stand up tall, inhaling, stretching. Use your inhale to create length through the front of the body. Inhale again. Keep stretching, and then maybe you can release the hands down onto the heels. Once you've got the heels, push into the hips even more, so we're not leaning back too much. For 3, 2, and on 1, hands come back onto the lower back, and we come back to kneeling. So hopefully that felt okay. I feel that a lot through my legs, but also through the chest and the front of the body, and can feel my back working there. So we'll do one more, and this is going to be kind of the most intense version, so you can choose to do it or not. You can do a previous option. It's going to be exactly the same, but we're going to keep the feet untucked, so there's going to be a little bit further to reach for. So, same thing, legs squeezing, got your invisible block, little tuck to the pelvis, hands to the back, and then inhaling. Use the breath. Stretch the belly up and over, and then maybe releasing the hands down onto the heels, pressing the hips forwards and coming into your back bend. Hands come back to the back, and we come up. Sitting back onto the heels, releasing your mat if you'd folded it under. Knees come together, forehead down to the mat, child's pose. Deep breathing. And then we're going to come into our final downward facing dog. So extending the arms, tucking the toes, shifting the hips up and back, and you can hold it here for a few breaths. And then look forwards and come down to your back. Knees can come in or feet on the mat. And we're going to finish the class with a few rounds of deep breath before we release and come into our relaxation. If there's any final movements that you'd like to take, you can do that now instead of the breathing. Obviously still breathing at the same time. Bring your hands onto your body, palms facing down. And from here, inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Return to natural breath for a moment. We're going to do that 4 more times. So it's inhale to the count of 4, hold, exhale, and hold again. It's called box breathing. So I'm going to let you do that on your own count because I think that it feels a bit more enjoyable and a bit more natural. So 4 rounds. If you just fancy doing 3 or 2 or 1, that's fine. If you fancy doing a stretch or coming into early Shavasana, you can do that instead. When you're ready, let's go. Once you've taken the final round of that box breath, extend your legs, extend your arms, and come into Shavasana. It may help to take a big inhale through your nose and release through the lips. We have a few minutes to spend here in our relaxation. Just like we did at the beginning of class, maybe relaxing the expression on the face and releasing any tension in the jaw. Letting the tongue release from the roof of the mouth. Letting your breathing be slow and natural. Start to take some deeper breaths. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Turn your head from side to side. And then take a deep stretch, or give your knees a hug, or just stay still, gentle movements. And eventually roll over onto one side and just stay there. Before eventually using one hand and pushing yourself up to a seat. And you might choose to bring the palms together as you close your eyes and bow your head towards your hands. And just enjoy taking a few deeper breaths in this position.